Rain crashed against a cold, broken window. In the corner of an abandoned building, a small girl pressed her knees to her chest, shivering. Her name was Maya. At only 10 years old, Maya's clothes were soaking wet. She hugged a tattered blanket, her lips blue from the chilling wind sneaking through the cracks. Someone pounded on the rusty door, making Maya flinch. All she could hear was thunder, the angry voice of her guardian shouting, "Stay here! This is where you belong!" With that, the footsteps vanished into the rainy night. Maya held her breath, heart pounding. She waited, but the guardian didn't come back. Hours turned into darkness. Maya stared out at the street, tears mixing with rain on her cheeks. "Why did she leave me?" Maya whispered. Her stomach growled so loudly it echoed in the empty room. She was alone, truly alone. Suddenly, she heard tires screeching outside. Then a blinding pair of headlights shone through the window. The roar of a fancy car stopping in front of the building made Maya's heart race. She crawled to the corner, clutching her blanket, a tiny figure hidden in shadows as the car door slammed shut. Someone stepped out of the car, shoes tapping on the wet pavement, getting closer and closer. Maya squeezed her eyes shut, hoping to disappear. The stranger's shadow spilled into the room. "Is someone here?" a calm, deep voice called. Maya froze. For one wild moment, she thought it was her guardian coming back. But it wasn't. It was a tall, well-dressed man with sharp eyes and an umbrella. He looked straight at her, even though she tried to hide. "Don't be scared," he said softly. "I'm here to help." Could she trust him? Was this the moment her life would change? Maya opened her mouth to ask for food, but before she could speak, the man knelt down and reached into his pocket. That's when Maya saw a flash of silver, a shiny object in the man's hand. Was it money or something dangerous? The rain thundered louder than before. Maya's heart beat so fast she thought it would burst. The man moved closer, holding out his hand, and said, "Let me show you something, but you'll have to be brave." Maya reached out, even though every part of her screamed to hide. The man smiled, but then a loud crash from behind them. The window shattered. Shards of glass flew everywhere. Someone had thrown a heavy brick through the window, aiming right at the man and Maya. The stranger leaped to shield Maya, but the brick thudded against his arm. Blood oozed from a deep cut. Maya screamed. The last thing she saw was someone in a dark hoodie running away into the storm. The stranger groaned in pain, but stayed between Maya and the danger. Would the man be okay? Who was trying to hurt them, and why were they here? And most of all, was this really a rescue, or was Maya in even more danger than before? The man clutched his bleeding arm, but he didn't move away from Maya. His face twisted in pain, but his eyes stayed locked on the broken window where the brick had come from. "Stay behind me," he ordered, his voice tight but calm. Maya's whole body shook. She pressed herself against the cold wall, watching the blood drip from the stranger's arm onto the dusty floor. Who threw that?" she whispered, her voice barely louder than the rain. "I don't know yet," the man replied. He pulled out his phone with his good hand and quickly dialed a number. "Jackson, I need you at the old Maple Street warehouse. Now, someone just attacked us." He hung up before whoever was on the other end could even respond. Maya wanted to run, but her legs felt like they were made of stone. The stranger turned to face her, and despite the blood soaking through his expensive suit jacket, He gave her a small smile. "My name is Daniel Reed. I'm not going to hurt you, but we need to get you out of here, fast." "Why?" Maya asked. Her mind raced with questions. Why would someone throw a brick at us? Why are you even here? Daniel winced as he pressed his hand against his wound. "Because someone doesn't want me to help you, and that means you're more important than you think." Before Maya could ask what he meant, headlights flooded the room again. A black SUV screeched to a stop outside. Maya's heart nearly jumped out of her chest. Was it the person who threw the brick coming back to finish what they started? But Daniel relaxed. "That's Jackson, my driver. Come on." He reached out his uninjured hand to Maya. Maya stared at his hand. Every adult in her life had hurt her or left her behind. Her parents died when she was 5, and her guardian, Aunt Beatrice, had been cruel from the very first day. Beatrice never wanted Maya. She only took her in because she got money from the government for caring for an orphan. But Beatrice spent that money on herself, buying fancy clothes and expensive perfumes, while Maya wore torn shoes and ate stale bread. Just yesterday, Beatrice had screamed at Maya for accidentally breaking a plate. "You're worthless!" Beatrice had shouted, her face red with anger. "I'm done with you. You're nothing but a burden." Then she grabbed Maya by the arm, dragged her to this abandoned building in the worst part of town, and left her here in the rain. Could Maya trust this stranger named Daniel? What if he was just like Beatrice? But then Daniel said something that made Maya's heart crack open. "I know what it's like to be alone. I was an orphan too once upon a time." Tears streamed down Maya's face. Slowly, carefully, she reached out and took his hand. Daniel helped her to her feet, and together they rushed out into the rain. Jackson, a broad-shouldered man with kind eyes, was already opening the car door. "Sir, your arm—" "I'll be fine," Daniel said quickly. "Get us to the safe house." Maya climbed into the warm car, her wet clothes dripping onto the leather seats. The car smelled like vanilla and something else, safety. For the first time in days, Maya felt warm. As Jackson drove away from the warehouse, Maya looked back through the rear window. In the shadows near the building, she saw a figure standing perfectly still, watching them leave. The person wore a dark hoodie, their face completely hidden. Maya's stomach dropped. "Daniel," she whispered, "someone's still there. They're watching us." Daniel followed her gaze, and his jaw tightened. "Jackson, take the long route. Lose anyone following us." "Yes, sir." The car sped through the rainy streets, turning left and right so many times that Maya lost track of where they were going. She hugged herself, trying to stop shivering. "Maya," Daniel said gently, "can you tell me about your guardian?" "The person who left you at that warehouse?" Maya's throat felt tight. "Her name is Aunt Beatrice. She hated me. She said I was too expensive to keep. She said she was tired of wasting money on a useless orphan." Daniel's face hardened with anger, but when he looked at Maya, his expression softened. "You are not useless, and you deserve so much better than what she gave you." Maya wanted to believe him, but years of Beatrice's cruel words had carved deep wounds into her heart. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. "You don't even know me." "Because I see myself in you," Daniel said quietly. "When I was 8 years old, I was homeless too. I slept in alleys and ate from garbage cans. But one day, someone helped me. a kind stranger who saw that I was worth saving. He gave me a chance at a new life. And now I want to do the same for you." Maya's eyes widened. This rich, powerful man had once been like her? It seemed impossible. The car suddenly jerked to the right, and Jackson cursed under his breath. "We've got a tail, sir. Black sedan, 2 cars back." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "How long?" "Since we left Maple Street." Maya's heart raced again. "Are they following us?" "Looks like it," Daniel said. He pulled out his phone again, but before he could dial, the black sedan sped up, faster and faster, until it was right behind them. Then it rammed into the back of their SUV. Maya screamed as the car lurched forward. Jackson fought to control the steering wheel, his knuckles white. "Hold on!" he yelled. The sedan rammed them again, harder this time. Maya was thrown against her seat belt, the strap digging painfully into her chest. Through the rain-streaked back window, she could see the sedan's driver, a shadowy figure with cold, merciless eyes. "They're trying to run us off the road," Jackson shouted. Daniel wrapped his arm around Maya, shielding her as Jackson swerved into a narrow side street. The sedan followed, its engine roaring like an angry beast. "Why are they doing this?" Maya cried. "What do they want?" "I don't know yet," Daniel said through gritted teeth, "but I promise you, Maya, I won't let them hurt you." The sedan came alongside them, and Maya saw the passenger window roll down. A hand reached out, holding something dark and metallic. Was that a gun? "Get down!" Daniel shouted, pushing Maya's head below the window just as crash! But it wasn't a gunshot. It was the sound of their SUV smashing through a wooden barrier. They had been forced off the road. The car flew through the air for a terrifying moment, then crashed down hard onto a muddy embankment. Maya felt everything spin. Her head hit something soft, Daniel's chest, and then everything went dark. When Maya opened her eyes, she didn't know how much time had passed. Her head throbbed. Rain poured through a crack in the windshield. "Daniel?" she whispered. He was slumped against the door, unconscious. Blood trickled from a cut on his forehead. Jackson groaned from the front seat. "Maya, are you okay?" "I think so," Maya said, her voice shaking. She reached for Daniel, shaking his shoulder. "Daniel, wake up, please!" But Daniel didn't move. And then Maya heard it. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate footsteps crunching through the mud, coming closer. Someone was walking toward the crashed car. Maya's breath caught in her throat. She looked through the cracked window and saw the figure from before, the person in the dark hoodie. They were carrying something in their hands. Maya couldn't see what it was, but her whole body screamed danger. The figure stopped right outside Daniel's door. Then they raised their hand and knocked on the window. 3 slow, mocking knocks. Knock, knock, knock. A voice, cold and sharp, spoke through the glass. "Come out, little girl. This doesn't have to be difficult." Maya's heart pounded so hard she thought it would explode. Daniel was unconscious. Jackson was hurt. She was trapped. The figure reached for the door handle. What would happen when that door opened? Who was this person, and why were they hunting her? And most terrifying of all, how did they know her name? The door handle rattled, slowly, like a snake waiting to strike. Maya gripped Daniel's sleeve, but he didn't wake up. "Wake up, Daniel, please," she whispered, tears blurring her sight. Jackson twisted in his seat in pain and tried to lock the door, but his hand trembled too much. Outside, the strange figure leaned closer to the window. In the low light, Maya saw their lips chillingly shaped to a smile. "I know you, Maya," the voice crooned softly, "and I know why you're so valuable." Maya trembled, her mind racing for a way out. She remembered a pile of old boxes and blankets in the back seat. Maybe she could hide. Quietly, she slid down behind the seat as the door finally creaked open. The shadow stepped inside, surveying the wrecked car, then kneeling over Daniel. Maya's breath shook as she watched, frozen by fear. The figure rifled through Daniel's pockets and found his wallet. Without a word, the stranger pocketed it and glanced around as if searching for something specific. Then the figure's gaze landed right where Maya was curled up, her toes poking out from behind a blanket. Maya's heart stopped as the intruder stretched out a gloved hand, only to freeze when a loud shout echoed through the trees. "Police! Hands where we can see them!" Red and blue lights flashed across the mud and rain. The figure bolted from the SUV, disappearing into the woods as two officers ran to the car, guns drawn. Moments later, an officer pulled open the back door and found Maya. "It's okay, sweetheart. You're safe now," he said. Maya clung to him, sobbing as the man lifted her gently out of the car. Paramedics quickly tended to Daniel and Jackson. Daniel's eyes opened, groggy but alive. "Is she all right?" he asked weakly. Maya nodded, unable to speak. But as the officers examined the car, one found something chilling on the floor where the intruder had been. A note that read, "You can't protect her. The hunt isn't over." Maya's fear returned full force. Just as she thought rescue had come, a wave of dread washed in. Why would anyone hunt her? And what secret did she carry without even knowing? As the authorities rushed Maya, Daniel, and Jackson to safety, Maya's mind spun. Who really wanted her gone? Was her life about to change for better, or was the nightmare just beginning? And in the shadows by the roadside, unseen by anyone, the hooded figure dialed a number and whispered, "She's slipped through, but not for long. The boss will be pleased." The chapter ends here, with Maya, Daniel, and Jackson whisked away under police lights, and the shadow of danger still stalking their every move. Suspense, uncertainty, and hope swirl. But Maya's fate is far from decided. 3 days passed since Beatrice's arrest. Maya stayed at Daniel's mansion, a beautiful house with tall white columns and gardens full of colorful flowers. For the first time in years, Maya slept in a real bed with soft pillows and warm blankets. She ate hot meals 3 times a day and wore new clothes that actually fit her. But even though her body was healing, her mind couldn't rest. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Beatrice's smile through that police car window, a smile that promised this wasn't over. Detective Martinez visited on the 4th morning. She sat with Maya and Daniel in the bright breakfast room, sunlight streaming through the windows. "I have news," the detective said, her face serious. "We've been questioning Beatrice and Officer Davis. Davis broke first. He admitted everything." Daniel leaned forward. "What did he say?" "Beatrice paid him $50,000 to leak your location and help her kidnap Maya," Detective Martinez explained. "But he's not the only corrupt officer on her payroll. We've arrested 2 more, and we're investigating 3 others. Beatrice has been planning this for years, building a network of people who would help her steal Maya's inheritance. Maya's stomach turned. How many people want my money? More than we thought, the detective admitted. But there's something else, something much bigger. When we searched Beatrice's house again, we found your mother's wooden box hidden in a secret compartment in the basement. Maya's heart leaped. You found it? Is it okay? Detective Martinez smiled and pulled a small wooden box from her bag. It was exactly as Maya remembered, brown wood carved with flowers and vines, with a tiny gold lock on the front. We had a locksmith open it, and Maya, what we found inside changes everything. She opened the box carefully. Inside was a small stack of old photographs, a gold locket, and several folded letters. But most importantly, there was a USB drive. Your father put everything on this drive, Detective Martinez said. Bank account numbers, passwords, legal documents, everything needed to access the Riverside Trust. But that's not all he left for you. She pulled out one of the letters and handed it to Maya. This letter is from your father. It's addressed to you. With shaking hands, Maya unfolded the yellowed paper. The handwriting was neat and careful, written in blue ink. She began to read aloud, her voice trembling. My dearest Maya, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone. I'm so sorry I couldn't watch you grow up. Your mother and I loved you more than anything in the world. By now, you probably know about the Riverside Trust, the money I saved for your future. But money is not the real treasure I'm leaving you. The real treasure is the truth about who you are and where you come from. Maya, your mother and I weren't just ordinary people. Before you were born, I worked as an accountant for some very powerful men who ran illegal businesses and hid their money. I helped them, and in return, they paid me well. But when your mother became pregnant with you, I realized I couldn't keep living that life. I wanted better for you. So I made a dangerous choice. I secretly gathered evidence of all their crimes, records, bank statements, proof of everything they did wrong. I gave this evidence to the police, which helped send many bad men to prison. But I kept some of that money, the money they paid me, and put it in a trust for you. I know it's not clean money, but I wanted to turn something bad into something good. I wanted to give you a chance at a better life. Because of my choice, your mother and I knew we were in danger. We knew those men would want revenge. That's why I hid this box and made sure the trust was protected until you turned 18. And that's why I chose Beatrice to be your guardian. Maya stopped reading, confused. He chose Beatrice? Why would he do that? Detective Martinez nodded grimly. Keep reading, Maya continued. I chose Beatrice because she was your mother's cousin, the only family you had left. I knew she was greedy and selfish, but I thought that greed would keep you safe. I set up the trust so that Beatrice would receive a monthly payment for taking care of you, enough money to make it worth her while to keep you alive and healthy. I thought if she knew she would lose that money, if anything happened to you, she would protect you. But I was wrong to trust her. By the time you read this, you'll know that she betrayed you. I'm sorry, Maya. I tried to keep you safe, but I made a terrible mistake. The truth is, the men I betrayed, the criminals whose money I took, they have families too, and some of those families are still powerful. They've been searching for the money I stole, and they won't stop until they find it. That's why You must be very careful, my darling girl. The moment you turn 18 and can access the trust, you will become a target. But you have a choice. You can take the money and use it to build a wonderful life, or you can give it to charity and walk away free. Whatever you choose, know that your mother and I will always love you. You are our greatest treasure, not the money, not the trust, but you. Be brave, my sweet Maya. Be smart, and most of all, be kind. Love forever, Dad. Tears streamed down Maya's face as she finished reading. Her father had tried to protect her, even after death, and now she finally understood. The money wasn't just an inheritance. It was dangerous. It was the reason her parents died. It was the reason people were hunting her. Daniel put a gentle hand on her shoulder. Maya, you don't have to decide anything right now. You're only 10 years old. You have 8 more years before you turn 18, and I promise I'll protect you until then. But Detective Martinez's face was troubled. I'm afraid it's not that simple. Daniel, there's something else we discovered. When we analyzed the USB drive, we found that someone has been trying to hack into the Riverside Trust account for months. And 3 days ago, right after Beatrice was arrested, someone almost succeeded. They got past the first 2 security levels before the bank caught them. Daniel's face went pale, which means whoever is trying to steal the money is still out there, and they're not giving up. Exactly, Detective Martinez said. Beatrice wasn't working alone. She had a partner, someone much smarter and more dangerous than her. Someone who knows about computers and hacking. We think this person hired Beatrice to get close to Maya, steal the USB drive, and access the trust. But when Beatrice failed, this person is now trying to break in digitally. Maya's hands clenched into fists. Who is it? Do you know? Detective Martinez shook her head. Not yet. The hacker is using advanced technology to hide their identity, but we're working with cyber experts to track them down. In the meantime, we've put extra security on the trust account. No one can access it without multiple layers of protection. How long before you find this person? Daniel asked. We don't know, the detective admitted. Days, weeks, maybe months. But until we do, Maya is still in danger. Suddenly, the lights in the mansion flickered. Once, twice, then went completely dark. Maya gasped. Daniel jumped to his feet. Not again! Detective Martinez pulled out her gun. Everyone stay calm. It's probably just a power outage. But then they heard it. A soft beeping sound coming from somewhere in the house. Beep, beep, beep. What is that? Maya whispered, fear crawling up her spine. Daniel's face went white. That's the security system. Someone just disabled it. The beeping got faster. Beep, 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 beep. Detective Martinez grabbed Maya's hand. We need to move, now. They ran toward the back door, but before they could reach it, they heard footsteps, lots of footsteps, coming from every direction. Front door, back door, side windows. The house was surrounded. Daniel pulled Maya close. The panic room, 3rd floor, behind the bookshelf. Go! But before Maya could move, the front windows exploded in a shower of glass. Men in black masks jumped through, carrying guns and ropes. They moved like trained soldiers, fast and coordinated. One of them pointed at Maya. There she is! Grab her! Detective Martinez fired her gun. Bang! Bang! Hitting one of the intruders in the leg. But there were too many of them. They swarmed the room like angry ants. Daniel fought back, punching and kicking, but 3 men tackled him to the ground. "Run, Maya, run!" he shouted. Maya turned to run, but someone grabbed her from behind, strong arms wrapping around her waist, lifting her off the ground. She screamed and kicked, but it was no use. A cloth was pressed over her nose and mouth, something sweet and chemical-smelling. Maya tried to hold her breath, but her lungs burned. She had to breathe, had to. The world started spinning. Her vision blurred. The last thing she saw was Daniel fighting desperately to reach her, blood on his face, screaming her name. Then everything went black. When Maya woke up, she was in complete darkness. Her head throbbed and her mouth tasted like medicine. She tried to move, but her hands were tied behind her back with rough rope. Her feet were tied too. Panic flooded through her. "Hello?" she called out, her voice echoing in the darkness. "Is anyone there?" No answer, just cold, empty silence. Maya's eyes slowly adjusted to the dark. She was in a small room, concrete walls, concrete floor, no windows. A basement? A warehouse? She couldn't tell. Then she heard a door open. Light spilled in, making Maya squint. A shadow appeared in the doorway, a tall figure walking toward her slowly, deliberately. "Hello, Maya," a voice said, smooth, confident, and terrifyingly familiar. The person stepped into the light, and Maya's heart nearly stopped. It was someone she recognized, someone she had seen before, though she couldn't remember where. A woman with sharp eyes and a cold smile. "Do you know who I am?" the woman asked, kneeling down to Maya's level. Maya shook her head, too scared to speak. The woman laughed softly. "No, I suppose you wouldn't remember. You were only 5 years old the last time we met. My name is Victoria Crest, and your father stole something very valuable from my family, something worth $20 million. $20 million? Maya's mind reeled. Your father thought he was so clever, Victoria continued, her voice dripping with anger. He gathered evidence against my father and sent him to prison. My father died there, alone and humiliated. And the money he had worked his whole life to build, your father took it and put it in a trust for you. I didn't know, Maya whispered. I was just a baby. I know you didn't know, Victoria said, but that doesn't change the fact that you have my family's money, money that should have been mine, and now you're going to give it back. I can't, Maya said. I don't have access to it. The trust is locked until I'm 18. Victoria smiled, a scary, predatory smile. Oh, I know. That's why I'm going to keep you here for the next 8 years. Don't worry. I'll keep you alive and healthy. I'll feed you, give you books to read, maybe even let you have a TV. But you will stay in this room, hidden from the world, until your 18th birthday. And on that day, you will sign every penny of that trust over to me. Maya's whole body trembled. 8 years. 8 years locked in this dark room, alone and afraid. Please, she begged, please don't do this. It's already done, Victoria said, standing up. Sweet dreams, Maya. I'll see you in a few years. She walked toward the door, and the light began to disappear. Wait, Maya cried. What about Daniel? What about Detective Martinez? Are they okay? Victoria paused in the doorway and looked back. Your hero, Daniel Reed? He's alive, barely. My men beat him pretty badly, but he'll recover. The detective, too. I don't kill unnecessarily, but if they come looking for you, well, that might change. The door slammed shut. Darkness swallowed Maya whole. She was alone, completely, terrifyingly alone, and this time no one was coming to save her. Maya didn't know how many days passed in that dark room. There were no windows, no clocks, nothing to tell her if it was day or night. Victoria's men brought her food twice a day, plain bread and water, and that was the only way Maya could count time. 1 meal, 2 meals, 3 meals, 4 meals. 2 days had passed since she was kidnapped. Maya sat in the corner of the cold room, hugging her knees to her chest. Her hands were no longer tied. Victoria had told her men to untie her after the first day, since there was nowhere to escape to anyway. The door was made of thick steel with no handle on the inside. The walls were solid concrete. Even if Maya screamed, no one would hear her. She thought about Daniel constantly. Was he okay? Had he recovered from the beating? And Detective Martinez, was she searching for Maya right now? Or had she given up? Maya touched the gold locket around her neck, the one that had been in her mother's box. Detective Martinez had let her keep it before everything went wrong. Inside the locket were 2 tiny photographs, her mother on one side, her father on the other. Both of them were smiling, young and happy. "I'm so scared," Maya whispered to the photographs. "I don't know what to do." But then she remembered something her father had written in his letter. "Be brave, my sweet Maya. Be smart. Be brave. Be smart." Maya wiped her tears and looked around the room with fresh eyes. If she was going to survive this, she needed to think. She needed a plan. The room was small, maybe 10 feet by 10 feet. The walls were bare concrete. The floor was the same. The ceiling had 1 light bulb that stayed on all the time, making it impossible to sleep properly. And the door. Maya crawled over to the door and examined it carefully. It was heavy steel, just as she thought. But at the bottom there was a small gap, maybe 2 inches, where food trays were pushed through. Could she see anything through that gap? She pressed her face to the floor and peered under the door. On the other side, she could see a narrow hallway lit by fluorescent lights. The floor was concrete, too, and in the distance she could hear voices, muffled, but definitely voices. Maya strained to listen. Boss wants her kept alive. No mistakes this time. 8 years is a long time. What if the cops find this place? They won't. We're too far out, middle of nowhere. The voices faded as the speakers walked away. Middle of nowhere. That meant she was probably in some remote location, a warehouse or bunker far from the city, which meant rescue would be difficult, but not impossible. Maya sat back and thought hard. She was smart. Everyone at school used to say so, back when she actually went to school. She was good at solving puzzles and thinking through problems. She just needed to use that brain now. What did she know? Victoria wanted her alive for 8 years. That meant Victoria would keep feeding her, keep her healthy. Victoria needed Maya to reach her 18th birthday so she could access the trust, which meant Maya had leverage. Not much, but some. The next time the food slot opened and a tray slid through, Maya was ready. "Wait," she called out before the person could leave. "I need to talk to Victoria." There was silence on the other side of the door. Then a gruff male voice said, "No talking. Eat your food." "Please," Maya said, keeping her voice calm even though her heart was racing. "Tell Victoria I have important information about the trust. Information that could help her get the money faster. Another silence. Then footsteps walking away. Maya held her breath. Would it work? 10 minutes later, the steel door creaked open. Victoria stood in the doorway, arms crossed, looking annoyed. "This better be good, little girl. I don't like my time being wasted." Maya stood up, trying to look braver than she felt. "You said you're going to keep me here for 8 years until I can access the trust." "That's right," Victoria said coldly. "But what if there was a way to get the money sooner?" Maya asked. "What if I told you something my father left? Something that could help you break into the account now?" Victoria's eyes narrowed with interest. "I'm listening." Maya swallowed hard. This was a lie, a complete lie, but it was the only card she had to play. "My father told me something before he died. A code, a special password that could override the age restriction on the trust. But I can only remember it if I'm not scared and stressed. I need better conditions, a bed, a window, books to read. Help me feel safe, and I'll help you get the money." Victoria stared at her for a long moment. Maya could see the woman's mind working, calculating whether to believe her or not. Finally, Victoria smiled, a thin, dangerous smile. "You're a clever little liar, just like your father, but I'll play along. If you're telling the truth, you'll save us both a lot of time. If you're lying," her smile turned to ice, "well, let's just say you won't enjoy the consequences." She snapped her fingers, and 2 guards appeared. "Move her to the upstairs room. Give her a bed and some books, but keep the door locked at all times." As the guards led Maya out of the concrete room and up a narrow staircase, she caught glimpses of her surroundings. She was right. It was some kind of old warehouse, abandoned and fallen apart. They were definitely far from civilization, but upstairs was better. The room they put her in had a small window with bars over it, a real bed with a blanket, and a bookshelf with old novels. It wasn't freedom, but it was better than that cold concrete cell. More importantly, through the window, Maya could see outside. Trees, mountains in the distance. And far away, very far away, the faint lights of a town. Someone was out there. Somewhere in that world, Daniel and Detective Martinez were searching for her. She just had to survive long enough for them to find her. Meanwhile, in Daniel's hospital room across the city, Daniel lay in bed, covered in bandages. His ribs were broken, his arm was in a cast, and his face was swollen and bruised, but his eyes burned with determination. Detective Martinez sat beside his bed, her own arm in a sling from the attack. "We've been searching everywhere," she said quietly, "but Victoria Crest is smart. She's hidden Maya somewhere completely off the grid. We've checked every warehouse, every abandoned building, every property connected to the Crest family. Nothing." "Then we're not looking in the right places," Daniel said through gritted teeth. Victoria's father was a criminal mastermind. He would have owned properties under fake names, hidden companies. We need to dig deeper. "We are digging deeper," Detective Martinez insisted. "I have 20 agents working on this case. We've frozen Victoria's bank accounts, tracked her phone records, interviewed everyone who ever knew her. But she prepared for this. She's been planning for years." Daniel closed his eyes, frustration and pain washing over him. "That little girl saved my life, Detective. When we were in that warehouse and someone threw that brick, she could have run. But she stayed with me. She trusted me, and now she's out there alone and terrified because I failed to protect her." "You didn't fail," Detective Martinez said firmly. "Victoria had 20 armed men. There was nothing you could have done differently." "There's always something," Daniel said. He opened his eyes and looked at the detective. "What about the USB drive? Maya's father's files. Did we miss anything?" Detective Martinez pulled out her tablet. "We've gone through every file a dozen times. Bank accounts, legal documents, evidence against the criminal families. But wait." She scrolled through the files, frowning. "There's one file we haven't been able to open. It's encrypted with a password we can't crack." "Show me," Daniel said, sitting up despite the pain. The detective showed him the screen. There was a folder labeled Emergency Protocol that required a password. "What if that file contains information about where Maya might go if she was in danger?" Daniel wondered. Her father was paranoid about protection. Maybe he left instructions? "We've tried every password combination we can think of," Detective Martinez said. "Birth dates, names, addresses, nothing works." Daniel thought hard. Then suddenly he remembered something Maya had told him. "The wooden box," he said. "Maya said her mother's box had carvings on it, flowers and vines." "What specific flowers?" Detective Martinez looked confused. "I don't know. Why?" "Because maybe the password is related to that box. Something personal that only Maya or her parents would know. Can we look at the box again?" 20 minutes later, a police officer brought the wooden box to Daniel's hospital room. Daniel examined it carefully under the light. The carvings were beautiful and intricate. Roses, lilies, and one other flower he didn't recognize. "Wait," Detective Martinez said, pulling out her phone. "Let me search this flower." She took a photo and ran it through a plant identification app. A moment later, the answer appeared. "It's a jasmine flower. Jasmine symbolizes love and purity." Daniel typed jasmine into the password field. Access denied. He tried again. Jasmine love. Pure jasmine. Maya jasmine. Nothing worked. Then Detective Martinez said quietly, "Wait, what was Maya's mother's name?" Daniel looked at the file notes. "Her name was Jasmine Anderson." His heart skipped a beat. He typed Jasmine Anderson into the password field. Access granted. The file opened, revealing a document. Detective Martinez read aloud, "If you're reading this, it means Maya is in danger and someone is trying to access this information to save her. Good. I have one final protection in place for my daughter. Hidden in the locket I gave her, the gold locket with mine and Jasmine's photographs, there is a tracking chip. It's embedded in the back of my photograph, so small you can't see it with the naked eye. If Maya is ever lost or kidnapped, use frequency 447.825 MHz to locate the chip signal. The battery lasts 10 years. Find the signal and you'll find my daughter. Protect her. She's all that matters. David Anderson." Detective Martinez and Daniel stared at each other in shock. "The locket," Daniel breathed. "Maya was wearing the locket when she was taken. We can find her." Detective Martinez was already on her phone, calling her technical team. "I need a radio frequency scanner set to 447.825 MHz. Now, we're looking for a tracking signal from a microchip." Within an hour, a team of technicians arrived with specialized equipment. They set up the scanner and began searching for the signal. At first, there was nothing but static. Then, Beep. A faint, steady beep. "We've got it," one technician shouted. "The signal is weak, but it's there. Triangulating location now." Everyone held their breath as the computer calculated the signal's origin. Finally, coordinates appeared on the screen. "Old Pine Valley," Detective Martinez read. "Abandoned mining territory. 2 hours north of the city. There's an old processing facility out there. Been closed for 20 years. Daniel was already climbing out of bed, ignoring the screaming pain in his broken ribs. "Then that's where we're going." "You can't come," Detective Martinez protested. "You're in no condition to—" "Try and stop me," Daniel said with fierce determination. "That little girl needs to know I didn't give up on her. I'm coming." Detective Martinez saw the fire in his eyes and nodded. "Fine, but you stay in the car. This is a police operation." Within 30 minutes, a convoy of police vehicles was racing north through the night. Lights flashing, sirens screaming. They had found Maya's location. Now they just had to get there before Victoria realized she'd been found. Back in her locked room, Maya stood at the barred window, watching the stars. She didn't know how, but somehow, deep in her heart, she felt it. Help was coming. She just had to hold on a little longer. The night air was cold and sharp as the convoy of police vehicles approached the abandoned mining facility. Detective Martinez sat in the lead car, radio in hand, coordinating with her team. Behind her, Daniel sat in another vehicle, his broken ribs wrapped tightly, his face pale with pain, but his eyes burning with determination. "Cut the sirens," Detective Martinez ordered into her radio. "We go in silent. Tactical team, prepare for entry. Rescue team, stand by for the child." The vehicle stopped half a mile from the facility, hidden behind a ridge of trees. Through night vision binoculars, Detective Martinez could see the old processing plant. A massive concrete building with broken windows and rusted metal beams. 2 guards stood outside the main entrance, both carrying rifles. "Armed hostiles confirmed," she whispered into her radio. "Proceed with caution." 20 armed officers moved through the darkness like shadows, surrounding the building from all sides. Daniel watched from the car, his fists clenched so tightly his knuckles turned white. Every second that passed felt like an hour. Inside the facility, Maya lay on her bed, unable to sleep. Something felt different tonight. The air seemed charged with energy, like lightning was about to strike. She touched the gold locket around her neck, thinking of her parents, thinking of Daniel. "Please find me," she whispered to the stars through her barred window. "Please don't give up." Suddenly, she heard shouting from downstairs. Loud, angry voices, then bang, 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 gunshots. Maya's heart leapt into her throat. She ran to her door and pressed her ear against it, trying to hear what was happening. "Police, drop your weapons. It's a raid. They found us." More gunshots, the sound of running feet, screaming, chaos. Maya backed away from the door, terrified. Was this rescue or something worse? What if Victoria's men fought back? What if someone got hurt? Then she heard footsteps pounding up the stairs, getting closer, closer, closer to her door. Maya grabbed the heaviest book from the shelf, ready to defend herself. The door handle rattled. Someone was trying to get in. "Maya!" a familiar voice shouted. "Maya, are you in there?" It was Detective Martinez. "I'm here!" Maya screamed, tears of relief flooding down her face. "I'm here." The lock exploded as officers shot it open. The door burst inward, and there stood Detective Martinez, dusty and breathless, but smiling. "We found you, sweetheart. We found you." Maya dropped the book and ran into the detective's arms, sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. "You came. You really came." "Of course we came," Detective Martinez said, holding her tight. "We never stopped looking." Another officer appeared in the doorway. "Building is secure. 10 suspects in custody, including Victoria Crest. No casualties." Detective Martinez nodded with satisfaction. "Good. Let's get this brave girl out of here." As they carried Maya down the stairs and out of the building, she saw Victoria in handcuffs, being pushed into a police car. Their eyes met for one brief moment. Victoria's face was twisted with rage and defeat, but Maya felt no fear anymore, only relief. Then, waiting by one of the police vehicles, Maya saw him, Daniel, struggling to stand despite his injuries, one hand pressed against his bandaged ribs. "Daniel!" Maya cried out. He turned, and when he saw her, his whole face lit up with joy. "Maya!" She ran to him as fast as her legs could carry her, and he caught her in his good arm, pulling her close. They both cried, tears of happiness, relief, and something deeper, something like family. "I knew you'd find me," Maya whispered. "I knew you wouldn't give up." "Never," Daniel said fiercely. "I will never give up on you. Never." 3 months later, Maya stood in a courtroom wearing a pretty blue dress that Daniel had bought for her. Her hair was brushed and tied with a ribbon, and she looked healthier than she had in years. Her cheeks full and rosy, her eyes bright with hope. The judge, an older woman with kind eyes and gray hair, looked down at Maya with a gentle smile. "Maya Anderson, you have been through more hardship in your 10 years than most people face in a lifetime. But today, we're here to talk about your future, a future filled with love and opportunity." Maya glanced at Daniel, who sat beside her in his best suit, his injuries finally healed. He gave her an encouraging nod. The judge continued, "Mr. Daniel Reed has petitioned this court to become your legal guardian and eventually to adopt you as his daughter. He has undergone extensive background checks, home visits, and evaluations. Everything has come back exemplary." She looked at Maya. "Maya, do you understand what adoption means?" Maya nodded. "It means Daniel will become my real father forever." "That's right," the judge said. "It means you would be a family legally and in every way that matters. Is this what you want?" Maya looked at Daniel, this man who had risked everything to save her, who had never given up, who had shown her what real love looked like. "Yes," she said clearly, "more than anything." The judge smiled and brought down her gavel. "Then by the power vested in me by the state, I hereby grant guardianship of Maya Anderson to Daniel Reed, with the pathway to full adoption opening in 6 months, pending continued evaluation. Congratulations to you both." The courtroom erupted in applause. Detective Martinez was there, grinning from ear to ear. Daniel's friends and business partners were there. Even Maya's old teacher from elementary school had come to support her. Daniel lifted Maya into his arms and spun her around. "You're mine now," he said, laughing through tears. "My daughter, my family, my dad," Maya whispered back, and in that moment all the pain of her past seemed to fade away. 1 year later, Maya sat at the kitchen table of Daniel's mansion. No, their mansion now. It was her home. She was doing her homework for 7th grade, her math book open in front of her. She was catching up on all the education she'd missed during those hard years with Beatrice, and she was excelling. Turned out, she was brilliant at science and mathematics. Daniel walked in carrying 2 mugs of hot chocolate, their special ritual every evening after homework. "How's it going, kiddo?" "Good," Maya said, looking up with a smile. "I got an A on my history test." "That's my girl," Daniel said proudly, setting down the mugs. "I knew you would." They sat together in comfortable silence for a moment, sipping their hot chocolate. Then Maya said quietly, "Dad, I've been thinking about the trust fund." Daniel's expression became serious. "What about it?" "I have 7 more years before I turn 18, Maya said. 7 more years before I can access that money. And I've been thinking, I don't want it." Daniel looked surprised. "You don't want it? Maya, that's millions of dollars. It could secure your entire future." "I know," Maya said, "but that money came from bad people doing bad things. My father tried to make it good by giving it to me, but it caused so much pain. It's why Beatrice took me in. It's why Victoria kidnapped me. It's why people died." She looked at Daniel with clear, determined eyes. "I want to give it all to charity, every penny. I want it to go to organizations that help orphans and homeless kids, kids like I was, kids who need someone to believe in them." Daniel stared at her for a long moment, then slowly smiled. "You know what? That's the bravest, most beautiful thing I've ever heard. Your father would be so proud of you." "You think so?" Maya asked. "I know so," Daniel said. "He wanted you to have a choice, to do what was right, not what was easy. And you're choosing the hardest, most selfless path. That takes real courage." Maya smiled. "Well, I learned from the best. You chose to help a scared little girl in a warehouse when you could have just driven past. You changed my fate forever." Daniel reached out and took her hand. "No, sweetheart, you changed mine. Before I met you, I was successful but lonely. I had money but no purpose. You gave me something worth fighting for. You made me a father. You gave me a family." They hugged, both of them understanding that they had saved each other. On Maya's 18th birthday, true to her word, she signed documents transferring the entire Riverside Trust, $20 million, to a foundation she and Daniel created together. It was called the Anderson Reed Foundation for Orphan Children. The foundation built safe homes for homeless kids. It funded education programs. It provided food, clothing, and most importantly, hope. Over the years, it helped thousands of children who had been forgotten by society, just like Maya once was. Victoria Crest and Beatrice Harlow were both sentenced to 20 years in prison for kidnapping, fraud, and attempted theft. Officer Davis received 15 years for corruption and conspiracy. Maya never saw any of them again, and she was grateful for that. Detective Martinez remained a close family friend. She visited often, always bringing Maya's favorite cookies and sharing stories about her latest cases. She became like an aunt to Maya, someone who had fought for her when she needed it most. Maya graduated high school with honors, then went to college to study social work. She wanted to dedicate her life to helping other children who were suffering, just as she had suffered. She wanted to be the person who showed up when others walked away. And Daniel was there for every moment, every graduation, every achievement, every hard day and happy day. He was her father in the truest sense of the word, not by blood, but by choice, by love, by unwavering commitment. Years later, when Maya stood at a podium accepting an award for her charitable work, she looked out at the audience and saw Daniel in the front row, tears of pride streaming down his face. She smiled and said into the microphone, "People ask me how I survived everything I went through as a child. They ask how I found the strength to keep going when I was abandoned, betrayed, and hunted. The answer is simple. I met someone who believed I was worth saving. I met a millionaire who changed my fate forever, not with his money, but with his heart. He showed me that family isn't about who shares your blood. It's about who refuses to leave your side, no matter how dark things get. Dad, this award is as much yours as it is mine. Thank you for never giving up on me." The audience erupted in applause, but Maya only had eyes for Daniel, who stood and mouthed the words, "I love you, my brave girl." And Maya knew with absolute certainty that she was exactly where she was meant to be. She had found her home. She had found her family. She had found her purpose. The homeless orphan abandoned by a heartless guardian had indeed met a millionaire who changed her fate forever, not by giving her money, but by giving her something far more valuable: unconditional love, unwavering support, and the chance to become the person she was always meant to be. And together, father and daughter, they changed the world, one rescued child at a time.